This year, instead of a New Year's resolution, how about something completely different? In fact, no matter when you're watching this video, see, there is this amazing truth that if we really grasp it, can transform our life, transform our expectations. Hebrews 6:17. Paul's talking about how God made Abraham this promise, and then he confirmed it with a vow. Okay? Well, Good News Bible says it this way. To those who were to receive his promise, God did not want them to ever think he would change his mind, so he confirmed the promise with an oath. What it's talking about is Genesis 15, which is very cool. God appears to Abraham, and he says, "I'm your shield and your great reward." And Abraham's response was a little different. Abraham says, basically, "God, you've been really good to me, but I don't have an heir." The thing he wanted most, the thing he wanted more than anything, he didn't have. And he goes on and says, "When I'm gone, one of my servants will inherit all of this." Now, God responds. And what we see is God's heart. God's response is so much bigger than what Abraham was hoping or asking for. And that's God's nature, to always go so much further than what we really hope or desire. And he says, that's not the way it's going to work. You will have an heir. In fact, you will wind up with as many descendants as the stars in the sky, as many descendants as the sand on the seashore. And in fact, this very land, I'm going to give it to them forever as their inheritance. Again, God's nature is to always go so much further than what we even hope for. And Abraham says, "How can I know?" Now, I don't think this was a doubt like, "Oh, really?" I think this was so amazing, like, wow, God, how can I know? And God, in his graciousness, makes a vow. So what he does is he makes a contract. So he's made a promise. Now remember, this is the Lord God of the universe. And when he makes a promise, when God says anything, it's done. He never changes his mind. Whatever God says is his commitment. But he's so gracious. So he makes a contract with Abraham, but he goes even further and he waits till Abraham is too tired and falls asleep, and God makes the contract himself. In other words, Abraham was the recipient, but there's nothing for him to do on his part except believe. See, what God is saying is this, that his promises to you and I are absolute, but so we never were worried that he might change his mind, he's followed them up with an oath. It's absolute commitment. So for God's people of faith, yes, we have heaven, but in between, God has promises. And let's make this a time when we grasp a deeper truth that they're not just a promise, they're a commitment, they're a contract on his part. So the things, the promises God has put in your heart, hang tightly to those, cling to him. Why? He has committed himself. Let's live in expectation. And if you're not sure, this is the time to not just drift through life, but rather pursue him. Let him show you, let him put inside your heart, let him implant in your heart those promises for him, from him, that he wants to fulfill in your life. And let us go forward with a sense of expectation, watching what God is about to do.